You know, I couldn't figure out what to play today, and then I remembered I hate myself.
Look, I've been playing last gen Black Ops 3 for a long time now, and in that time, I've beaten the world record on Shadows of Evil with a round 111 game. I've also taken the world record for the Giant at round 69, nice, but in my hundreds and hundreds of hours on here, I have always had the creature comforts of Black Ops 3 to help me out. There was always a few weapons and mechanics to make sure that if this broken ass game ever wanted to mess me up, then I at least had a fighting chance. So in my blind stupidity, I decided to take all of those away and wanted to see if I could reach round 50 on any of the 3 zombies maps available on this game without using the map's main wonder weapons, alternate ammo types, specialist, or mega gobblegum. I'm completely handicapping myself in an effort to see if this is really even possible. And while you watch me fumble around on Shadows of Evil for a bit, let me explain a little bit about this version for those who maybe don't know or forgot about it. But real quick, if you could do me a favor, I would appreciate a like on the video, and also I'm actually back to streaming over on YouTube on my second channel, Rushin Live. I'm actually doing 1 round of Shino Numa for every single subscriber that channel gains for the next week, so go subscribe. I'm probably going to be live on it right after this video goes out, so hey, if you want to come stop by and see what I'm doing, then you know what, that would be really nice. But do that after you watch this video. Anyway, so back to Black Ops 3. Basically, this game had a PS3 and Xbox 360 release that were not made by Treyarch, and it's worse in every single possible way than the one that you're probably used to. Obviously, the graphics is one of those, but it even plays entirely differently. Firstly, the zombies stick to the player like they do in World of War and Your Dad's Pee-Pee Milk. There's also a lot of the early bugs and glitches that Black Ops 3 had at launch, which were solved in time on the main versions, but were never fixed here, like not being able to sprint out of a crouch when you're taking damage. It also crashes if you basically look at it the wrong way. If you leave the game open for a few days, for instance, and then you launch up a map, it will load completely wrong and crash within about a minute. There's literally hundreds of other small things to mention, but this video would be about 2 hours long if I mentioned all of them. So once we finished opening up Pack-a-Punch and taking a gander at Thick Daddy Shadow Man in all of his 144p quality gloriness, I Pack-Punched my Man of War and the Bloodhound pistols. Mostly because I just thought that they were 2 of the most powerful weapons at my disposal at the time, especially for killing Margwas early in this game. I finished grabbing all of my perks and set out on getting through rounds as quickly as possible from here on out. On round 16, I swapped my Man of War for the XM53 because memes, and I like being a respectable young gentleman with a rocket launcher. Then shortly after this, I Pack-Punched it and the 48 Dredge for some stupid reason. Maybe my rationale was more bullets equals better, but honestly, who the fuck knows? Thankfully, common sense prevailed and the Chad Dingo replaced the Beta Dredge shortly after this. But that didn't really help because I got last gen'd on round 24 by zombies who were only programmed to windmill you. Eventually I did recover though, and for a while things were actually going smoothly again. By the late 20s you'll already begin to see some frame lag when using a lot of bullets on a horde, so aside from being careful with that, it seemed like things were off to a pretty good start. I even got a ray gun from the purple pod just for the memes. We're also not talking about me dying to 2 zombies out of my own stupidity. Mommy Margwa appeared on round 31 looking submissive and breedable, so I gave it a shot in the mouth like I was your dad and I continued on with my game. But because I hadn't really worked out how to manage my ammo in this challenge yet, on round 35 I ran out of ammo completely and tried out a wall weapon to see just how it would go. And so yeah, I shot a little bit too quickly and the map crashed on me. Yeah, you probably thought that was a joke earlier, huh? But anyway, it's time for the Giant. This is probably the visually least appealing out of all the maps on here because gray combined with low quality textures and a baked meme filter doesn't equal good quality. But you know what was good is that after doing all of the teleporters to open Pack-a-Punch, I spun the mystery box and I got old reliable the ray gun. It hasn't reached its final form yet though, that comes later. With that being said, I knew what time it was. It's time for the catwalk. And if you had shown this footage to a Treyarch developer working on the original World of War map in 2009, they probably would have had a stroke. And as I probably spoiled by now, but yeah, silver ray gun. It's probably a visual glitch, but I really unironically kind of want this as a side quest in future zombies maps as a cool little callback. There's also a golden ray gun that you can get on Der Eisendrache, which for some reason I didn't get later on, but yeah, the silver and gold is really cool actually. Sadly, this glitch does go away when the Pack-a-Punch camo is placed on top of it, but we will never forego our fallen comrade. But for as much shit as I talked about the dredge a few minutes ago, it actually kept me on the catwalk until round 28, and I probably could have stayed there a few rounds longer if I really wanted to. But once we did leave though, I actually caught an extremely lucky break. Typically on the Giant in last gen, the zombies will jump over this fence in the spawn room for no real reason other than just they can. And it typically prevents people from using the regular high round strategy that you'll see on the PS4 and the Xbox One. But for some reason this time around, the zombies just didn't do that, and I got way too excited about that. No joke, I had the biggest shit-eating grin on my face and even had thoughts in my head swirling around about maybe I could take this game to the next level and maybe I could break my own world record. I was thinking, if I get to round 50, do I put an AAT on and then that would make for a crazy video and I could just do this? And honestly, the strategy was going really well because on round 40, I was still flawless, and that's really good for this map. The strategy was using the RK5 from the wall in tandem with the ray gun that I had, and then suddenly one zombie got away from me and I was no longer flawless. But I guess it's fine though, right? Downs happen and we'll get back on track. I spent another round in spawn, but the zombies began coming in a little bit too quickly for my liking, so I defaulted back to my old strategy of training zombies near the power switch. But this is where once again tragedy struck me. On a trip back to spawn on round 44, my Xbox controller began to have a little bit of an issue. The left thumbstick wasn't taking my inputs properly, which meant I had no time to run away from the one zombie windmilling me from behind. After this, I was struggling to even move forward properly, let alone hold off entire hordes of zombies in an already busted ass game. To make things worse, my anywhere but here gobblegum should have saved me in this round, but it didn't work properly, causing my third down. Finally, on round 45, my controller basically gave up entirely and stopped me moving right in front of a horde. So close, but yet so far. One more map to go, let's get this done. Der Eisendrache is the last map to be released on last gen, with whomever was in charge pulling the plug on it halfway through developing Zetsubo no Shima. And as bad as all of this is here, I really want to see how busted Zets would have been with all the complicated mechanics it had, like swimming, the cages, the giant map, and just, man, I'm kind of sad now. Anyway, so just like last time, the summary of our setup for here is turning back on the power, getting perks, and pack-a-punching. It honestly kind of feels like I'm playing a Black Ops 1 map, but without the fun or the nostalgia. There is one thing that this stupid challenge does remind me of though, and it's just how difficult and slow zombies actually is without the overpowered stuff to bail you out when things go sideways, and honestly I kind of miss that in some ways, but I also really don't in others. Before I get all philosophical about zombies, let's flash forward a little bit. The anti-gravity particles look really cool unironically, and I needed a few seconds just to stare at them. Papa Panzer got his teeth kicked in by VMP, which will never not be funny, and I began for some reason gathering Ragnarok DG4 parts. To be honest here, my brain was fucking milky by the time I got to this point in the challenge, and I probably just had a natural defense mechanism, to where my brain probably just decided, hey, you don't want to run around in a circle endlessly, so let's just do whatever we can to not have to do that for a little while. Low-key, I kind of even forgot about the next Panzer, but he was such a pushover by now that the Haymaker gave him a prison beating without using much ammo at all. One thing I do need to watch out for though with this Panzer is it has a tendency to actually go invisible and become invincible. Usually that only happens with the Stormbow, so it shouldn't happen in this game. Fingers crossed though, and after another down that we won't speak about, I decided to try out an old camping strategy next to the quick revive machine in the spawn room. And it worked like a fucking treat for a little while. The HVK has always been satisfying to use even on last gen, and with a very lucky death machine drop at the beginning of round 30, I was able to batter the Panzer like it's Scottish cooking and left the spawn room later with my head held high. There's not a lot of times that I actually get to try out camping strategies, especially with these challenge videos because I'm just so limited, but this time I decided to, go for it for a little while, and I actually had a lot of fun. But after round 30, it was time for me to get a more powerful gun, and maybe 20 minutes of box spinning later, I settled on using the Haymaker and the Sigma Dingo combo. And for as good as a combo is, there is a downside though, because when you're using a bullet weapon and don't want a repeat of Shadows of Evil, you kind of have to play play really fucking slow. I basically need to train around in the various areas of my choosing, shoot the dingo a dozen times, kill a few zombies, wait for them to spawn back in, let the frame rate fix itself, and rinse and repeat over and over again. It was an extremely repetitive process, even more so than zombies usually is. I can't just spray down an entire horde because the game will just crash. And when coming back from a chicky nuggy break, I did the thing that everyone else does after unpausing a game of zombies, and I completely forgot how to use my controller for about 30 seconds. My brain thought that this gap was big enough, and on PS4 it might have been, but nope, I got pulled in for a big ass bear hug. As usual though, I managed to recover and get most of my perks back without really too much hassle. And for some reason I've actually neglected to mention so far, but the death machine on this version is actually a death machine. It causes crashes, you move slowly, and it doesn't actually kill zombies after round 35, so I have no idea why I'm using it. At the end of round 44, I had basically zero ammo in either of my guns, but eventually through a lot of persistence, I got my hands on an alchemical antithesis gobblegum, and that meant things were looking up for me finally, and then I just went the wrong way. Yeah, fucking tough scenes in this video, isn't it? 2 different round 45s, and this time, you know what, I just need to admit defeat on this challenge. This was way more difficult than I thought it would actually be. I still kind of had fun though, hopefully you guys enjoyed, but you know what I didn't actually fail? I didn't fail in this video about me beating the moon Easter egg without breathing, so go watch it, or go check out Rushin live, link in the description, bye.